Alright, this is going to be something I'm going to be doing, hopefully weekly, where I'll be analyzing a VOD of a high-level League of Legends match, just to see what these top teams are doing, look at their play, why it works, why it doesn't work, that sort of thing. So, I picked a match of Dignitas versus CRS. We are going to see their IPL3 match from Atlantic City. I believe it's game 1, day 1. And in this game, Curse gets fucking rolled. They don't get a single kill and they lose really bad. So we're going to see why Dignitas did so well and why Curse did so bad. So we're going to start all the way from the beginning with the picks and bans, okay? So we'll see on Dignitas side that Soraka, Cassiopeia, Zilean get banned. If you play solo queue a lot, you'll see that Zilean is banned in 90% of your games. So no surprise there. He's a really strong jungler. Great mobility. Good crowd control in team fights because he can kick people around, shield people. Really strong jungler. Most people don't like going against him. Cassiopeia, probably a ban like that has something to do with maybe they know that somebody on their team likes to play Cassiopeia a lot. Soraka, I believe that their support is like a super mega Soraka fan, so they're probably doing that to get rid of somebody's best champion. Not a bad idea in a tournament play. Udyr, strong jungler. Not surprised to see him banned. He usually does really well once you farm him up. Just start mashing buttons and you do really well. And he farms really well, and players on the other team might also favor him over other champions. Kog'Maw, Caitlyn, that's basically saying Kog'Maw and Caitlyn during this patch. I know that the Graves patch is out, but these are probably the two strongest ranged ADs in the game. Caitlyn, it's impossible to lose your lane once you know how to play her, unless you don't have a sustained support. Like if you have a Taric or a Sona, a Soraka, something, you're never going to lose your lane ever. It's not possible. Kog'Maw is just really strong in game, kind of strong early game, not that much, but his end game is almost untouchable by any other ranged AD in the game right now. As for picks, we have Zilian coming out first for Dignitas. Zilian basically turns into an ulti bot late game, as well as a slow and speed buff bot, and that's about all he does. His bomb, really strong early game, pretty strong mid game, falls off late game, but he's really good at keeping the mid laner down. He'll force Morgana to be defensive and get Black Shield early so she doesn't get zoned out of the lane. And I don't know. I'm still indifferent about Zilian, but for now he's a good pick. CRS come out with Morgana, pretty strong. Still, I don't think she was nerfed in this patch yet with her sustain, but she has really good sustain, good team fight, good AoE, has a snare, a shield that scales really well in the late game, so she's just a nice strong pick. Sona, also really good for her ulti, her auras, so many uses on her. Her W, once you get your power cord up, you throw it onto a damage dealer like Locust, you throw it on him and he's dealing 40% less damage. That's kind of an underused and underutilized part of Sona, but her power cords are really powerful. Probably the most versatile support out of all of them I've found. And then Dignitas come out with Trundle for the jungle. That'll probably be switched on to Jat. And Ezreal for their ranged AD. Trundle's a really good jungler. He has good sustain. He's really mobile. His pillar can force team fights, and it can also alter your terrain to put a team fight into your advantage. Pillar's really strong. They've been using him a lot in tournaments lately. We have Vayne coming out for Curse, as well as Galio. Galio is a really strong top lane. He's good for poke with his range on all his abilities. And I don't know that Dignitas has enough magic damage to warrant him. He's really strong, but if you can't, he's strongest when you can stack MR on him, and stacking MR won't be as useful against this team. Cutie Pie will shred him up too much. Cicero shred him up too much. He's not magic damage. Jat's not really magic. He's sort of magic damage, but not really. Most of their damage will be coming out in the physical form. Scar's damage will fall off, so I don't know about Galio pick. He is a strong hero. His ultimate is amazing, especially when you combine it with like a Morgana ult. But we'll see how that pick turns out. Well, you'll see. And then Dignitas pick up Janna for their support as well as their Nasus. Janna's really good support. Does the same thing as Trundle does, sort of, where you can separate your enemy more. You can create escape paths by knocking people back. You can't pursue a team that has a Janna. It's not possible. Once you get tornadoed and ultied, it's so much knock up and knock back that you can't possibly chase anybody down. And then the last pick coming out for Curse is Warwick for jungle. Really tanky jungle. Has the incapacitate or suppress, I guess you would call it. He'll be wanting to use that on somebody like Ezreal, where he can blink in and then suppress Ezreal for the team fight, because he's going to be their big worry. Yeah, so Dignitas is going to be looking to play more of a zoning game to like pick people out and just pick apart Curse. That's what they're going to be wanting to do. And you have a Jat playing Trundle, and you have... Here, let's go back for a second. Okay, I'm just going to pause it real quick. So when you have Trundle and Janna, those two heroes are saying, hey, I want to zone you out. They have Ezreal, who can flash around to position himself better. So what Dignitas is going to be looking to do is they're going to be looking for picking team fights to where they can basically create a favorable situation for themselves, to where the terrain helps them to do the most possible damage and make the most out of the team fight. That's why Ezreal fits with these picks right here. Well, Cicero can also, he's great burst damage, good sustain in the lane. He'll be there in the team fight, so he will be able to get onto any target, throw that Q up, and he can help really start the burst initiate on somebody. Same with Scara double bombing. Well, Cicero and Scara will double bomb. Cutie Pie can position himself anywhere he wants to after they decide where they want to initiate with their Trundle and Janna. And that's how they're going to be looking to play their game. Curse, on the other hand, is going more for a disable type game. They have Sona ultimate that stuns the whole team. They have Morgana ultimate, stuns, slows whole team. Galio ultimate makes everybody on the team uncontrollable and they have to attack him. They're going for a huge disabling game. They're going to want to use all their champions to keep things disabled so that this Vayne can have free reign on the team. And Vayne can work here, but I don't know that I like Vayne, because they're going to be, this team comp says we want distance. They want to be putting distance between them and the other team. And since they banned out Kog'Maw and Caitlyn, they kind of forced the hand. So Dignitas sees this and they're like, hey, they can't really use any range, so let's make a team comp that really punishes them for not having range. So Ezreal, even though he doesn't have the insane range that a Caitlyn and Kog'Maw does, he does have more mobility than Vayne does. Vayne can kind of dodge with his little Q and kind of tumble left and right and whatnot, but Ezreal can kind of blink across terrain. He can blink to other sides of walls. He can do way more than a Vayne can in terms of mobility. Vayne's kind of a stagnant character, but he does do more damage than any of the other ranged ADs, I find, because his true damage from his W is really strong late game. So this Vayne pick is the product of them having all of this disable in these heroes, but they're very ultimate dependent. So they're going to be needing to use their ultimates in key spots, and they need to time them out properly, because if they don't, then Dignitas just get to set up the map the way they want, and they get to pick away champs in the order they want. So that is going to be how this game is going to go. That's what these two teams are going to be focused on doing. And now let's jump in and check out and see how things go. Let me fast forward. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, so we have, for starting items, we have Oh, it looks like Nasus is buying a little slow. That's okay. You see Dignitas all going for fairly defensive setups. Nobody's starting out with any aggressive items at all. I guess you could sort of consider boots aggressive, but not really. Any build that has you starting out with potions instead of a Dorn item means you are playing for the long game and you're not favoring a level 1 engagement. You can, but if you really want to commit to level 1, you need to be buying those Dorn's items. Those will give you that extra damage. They will give you the extra HP and the extra ability to stay alive and not get burst down by level 1 spells. If you buy early Dorn's items, you need to be playing aggressively because that's a big investment and you're going to take away your sustain. So you're going to need to do something with your money. But you see everybody on Dignitas buying potions. Their support's running 3 wards, which is the more defensive way of doing it, instead of 2 wards and a mana potion instead, which is more of an aggressive build. So they're looking to secure the map presence. They want to play a nice long game. They're not looking to do anything crazy early on, as you can tell by them being behind every one of their towers. Curse doing the same thing. The only offensive builder is Warwick, and that's jungle, and you can start with that and rush your early brutalizer or your early lantern, whatever you want to build. Yeah. So we're going to have Ezreal top lane, it looks like, and the Janna top lane. So they're playing a little bit backwards. This is not normally what you'd see. Normally you'd see something more like Nasus and Galio up top and the support and range AD bottom, but we're going to see something a little different here. So bottom lane is basically going to, those two heroes can sit there and sustain off each other for forever. Nasus can't really be aggressive on Galio, and Galio can't push Nasus out of lane because he has so much sustain. So that lane will kind of neutralize. They're both defensively set up with cloth 5s, so neither one of them is going to be forcing each other out of the lane unless there's some kind of huge jungle gank. So not going to put too much attention toward that unless one of them starts really messing up. But we won't be able to catch that with this because there's no replay system cry. Mid lane is going to be Jackie trying to time Black Shields to cover bomb damage so he can sustain, get his W up to get that life regen going from the spell vamp. That's just going to be a poking battle for the rest of the time. See, now Scar uses this bomb there on the creep. That is an economic way to play. There's 2 ways you can play. You can play economic and you can play aggressive. If you're using your bombs to kill creep, then you're really focusing on your late game, your mid game timings. You're trying to get as much money as you can with your mana, and that's going to let your opponent, it gives your opponent like more of a decision to make. 'Cause if you decide to go economic, then that's what you're doing. You're just playing defensive. You're focusing on your money. That's what you want to do. Your opponent has to make a choice of, do they want to punish that by being aggressive on you and putting their mana towards you instead of money, or if they want to try and keep up in the economic game and also put their money towards mana. It forces a decision on them when you play economically. So it's kind of like an SC2. Do I open with a 1-gate expand as Protoss, or do I try and do some kind of crazy 4-gate pressure to kill him for teching? It's sort of like that if you play SC2. That's kind of how you're going to have to look at this. Now, Cutie Pie and Locust up top, since they have Janna has no heal. She just has shield. So they're going to be playing on their side of the map. If you have a Janna, you do not want to be pressing up. You want to be tower hugging. Janna's really strong late game, really strong mid game, but her early game is really finicky. You have to be really careful as a ranged AD, and you have to have really good reflexes as Janna and get your shield leveled up as high as you can. Try and prevent your AD from taking damage because they're not going to have any way of recouping that. And that is reflected by Ezreal starting boots with 3 pots. That's usually what you want to do. Now what we saw here is Jat being really aggressive with his jungling, proving that he is mobile. Oh, we have big gank. That is a bad move by Curse. They went to go I guess the jungler called out, hey, help me, help me, help me, or whatnot. So they started moving down, and they got caught way out of position. There was a ward in the bush. They didn't coordinate very well with their ward timing. Dignitas' ward was still up, so they had full vision of what was going on. And they kind of were indecisive in the river and kind of went, try bush, no wait, go back to lane, no wait, try bush, no wait, no, we should go to the lane. So that resulted in them. Locust has been doing a really good job with Ezreal keeping his HP up, and Ezreal, who's not being poked down, can jump on you and do a lot of damage. His burst output at low levels is fairly high compared to the other ranged ADs. As you can see what happens on bottom, they can't do anything to each other. Herp-a-derp-a-derp. Alright, so the jungle. Let's look at the jungle. Jat has taken wraiths from his opponent. He got a good jump, good gank. That's just him knowing that he's jungled on every champion probably. And he knows that when he sees his wraiths come up, that Warwick is probably moving there. And that he's seen Warwick start with the blade first. So he knows that he will probably be taking more minion damage than you would normally take if you started with a Vampiric Scepter or Cloth 5 as well. So he knew that he was probably going to be a little bit lower on HP than normal, cutting it closer in order to get that earlier jump on some of his mid-game items. So he went into the opponent's jungle, seeing those non-defensive items, thinking, hey, I can catch him out of position. I have my pillar now. So Warwick tried to go to his wraiths. Jat knew the timing of it. And when Warwick walked around the corner, he threw the pillar in that bush. Warwick can't run. Got taken out. It was a great heads-up play by Jat. So right now they have First Blood, and they have 2 kills on top lane. So Janna and Ezreal are going to be ahead in that lane. So they're going to need help from jungle in order to get back in it. Given the fact that Dignitas' jungle got First Blood, he's going to be way ahead of the other jungle. So he can afford to do things like place this aggressive ward here for his team, and he can afford to bully Warwick around the map. So Jat has control of the map right now. Jat is the map control. We see him giving Zilian blue buff. That's pretty standard to give your second blue buff and on to your center AP carry. That's the reason that AP carries go mid, is because it is so close to that blue, and you can just kind of dip back during the wave and you can grab that blue really easily. You can't really do that if you're on top lane or bottom lane. You kind of can on top lane, and you will see that when you see like a Gragas or a Cannon. Not so much Cannon, but mainly if you send like a Gragas top or a Rise top, something like that, you can sometimes see jungles giving them the blue over the mid. We have okay, now Nasus is running teleport, and he has it up, and Dignitas know that they're ahead, so they go ahead and grab Dragon, and they know that they can 100% take it, and that Curse can do nothing about it. They have the ward placed. Nasus' teleport is up, so if Curse does try and engage, they know that Double Lift is stuck top, because Double Lift is not running teleport. So no matter what, if they want to engage on Dragon Curse, then they will pay for it, and they will get destroyed, because Dignitas is basically 5v4 there. So given the fact that they're behind, compounding the top with, they have a player out of position without teleport, they are basically forced to just give that up. And you can see the effect of Warwick being so far behind now. They have Vayne and Warwick on a Nasus who is against a wall, gets stunned by Vayne, and they still can't finish him off because Lapaka got caught in his jungle, so his jungle is behind, his levels are behind, and he just didn't kick out enough damage there. He probably could have had his wriggles by this point if he had not died there and given First Blood to Jat. And you can see that Jat does have his wriggles instead. Oh, god damn it. I hope that doesn't show up on the video. I might have gone into screensaver mode. Possibly. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at what their items are doing right now. You see, let's notice the game clock. It's 10:30. The dragon was killed at about 9, I think. Let me go back and actually check on that. I want to make sure I know these timings because they're really fucking important. So actually it was even earlier than that. So they make the call now where they see Vayne top and they have Nasus top. So their whole team's in the vicinity at this point, and Nasus has teleport. So they're like, okay, this is a really smart switch by them too, sending Nasus top, and then when the ranged AD support went back to buy, they sent them bottom because that gives them dragon. That's a really smart play by them, and it's taking advantage of the fact that Curse might not really have as much experience running these types of lanes. So now we're going to see them switch bottom, and Nasus has so much sustain that he can just do whatever the hell he wants up top. He can bully the Vayne around. He can sustain all day against him. And so they're going to be pushing bot lane really hard now. Since they have dragon, there's no threat of them dying bottom and having the other team quickly just jump to the dragon pit. That's not going to be a possibility now. So they got dragon out of the way first so that they did not have to worry about the consequences of maybe diving to get 2 champions and have a death and then get caught out of position all low and being chased off. They're not going to be punished by having to go back and letting the other team get a free dragon for it. And then you saw Nasus there get away, what I talked about earlier. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Let's skip a little bit ahead to where we were. Okay. So Jat is building Wriggles. Looks like he's going for Merc Treads next. Pretty standard jungle build. He's going Merc Treads because, like I said again, the whole other team is based on disables. Morgana, Galio, Sona, Warwick, even Vayne's stun. So he's going to be going for those quick Merc Treads, get that tenacity ASAP, because tenacity will be the deciding factor in this game. If you're getting crowd controlled like crazy by their team, you're going to die. So minimizing their crowd control will minimize their effectiveness as a team. Okay, let's see. I wonder if Janna bought oracles. I didn't get to catch that. She doesn't need it, I don't think, yet. And it doesn't look like she could have afforded it because she's got health crystal boots and Vilos now. Okay, so Sona is needing to play defensive because they are behind. And when you're behind, you can't be aggressive because you will die. The other team will have items over you and they will get away with 100 HP. That's how it works. If you're behind, then guess what? You're behind. So you have to find other ways to get back in the game. So you have to be as safe as you can possibly be to where you can farm up an item to where you can hit a timing to where right when you buy that item, the instant you buy it, you now have a chance because you just buffed your stats and the opponent might not be spending all their money and they might have, you know, 2k gold on them. Well, if they were 2k gold ahead and you just bought the item, if you force a fight immediately, guess what? You're not 2k gold behind anymore because they haven't spent it. So Sona had to buy that pink ward to deward because it is imperative that they have vision up top because they're going to be needing to set up a gank. They're behind, they need their lane control back, and the quickest way to do that is to get a kill on somebody, not just for the money, but to deny them leveling up and to deny them farming money. It's basically about delaying them. It's not so much you getting the kill and the EXP and the blah, 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 what the fuck ever. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're slowing their game down and you're giving yourself time. Sometimes I'll see people get so aggressive and they're so wrapped up in getting kills, and the other team, their ranged AD carry will be, you know, like, oh, they'll start the game 0-5 and they'll be like, oh, you guys are doing terrible, LOL. But there's been so many games where that's even been me, and I don't care. I just kept farming, kept doing my thing, stayed in the game, didn't really let it get to me too much. I just kept farming, kept being as consistent as I possibly could, got my items, and even though they slowed my game down, they didn't capitalize on it. But in this game, we'll see Dignitas show you how to capitalize on such things and not let that happen. when you get ahead like they are now, you need to make sure that you are using your advantage to keep your advantage. And you can even use it to get even more of an advantage. When you have the map control that they have with Jat God at the beginning of the game, you saw it. He just ran around and he put like really aggressive wards up. He told his team to rotate like they did, sending the ranged AD support bottom, catching that Vayne up top with a teleport Nasus, and they got free dragon for it because Jat is able to now run around the map because the other jungler's that far behind, and he took control over Lapaka's jungle, and that was it kept Warwick even further out of the game. It's really important you do things like that. You can't be afraid to recognize the fact that you're ahead. You have to be confident when you're ahead and make sure you use every advantage to help keep your advantage. Sona has a pink ward. She can't really afford oracles. They're so pressured in lane that getting an oracles that's just like saying, hey, please gank me, because they're so weak right now that they can't afford to have a squishy with an oracles. If anything, Lapaka is going to have to take one for the team and probably get oracles, or they're going to have Sona keep buying pink wards and saving them for things like dragon, which is up right now. So once again, Nasus teleport. I don't like Ezreal going back there. He needed to go back sooner so that he could get to this dragon. Now they're way out of position because Ezreal was so slow. Nasus not doing anything wrong. He's up top. They're actually going to use the teleport now. They want to go now. They see that Curse is in a bad spot. That little choke point right there is what Dignitas want. See, now they throw up Pillar, and it separates the team, and they got a bunch of free damage out. So now their team's separated, and they have the ranged AD down here by himself, which is not what you want. And then they have another Lapaka over here who is basically there just to disable somebody so that the damage dealers can throw out their damage. So we had the two mega AoE champs. Let's go back and look at this. Let's really look at this, because this is very important what just happened. Okay, blah 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 blah. Kind of bad by Ezreal. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you see Trundle coming out? He says, okay, I'm placing the ward. I want you to teleport. Nasus teleport now. Okay, so right there, he teleports. Look where the other team is. Their CV goes out up here at the top. You see their CV? They want to know who's on this side. They see Morgana on that side. They see Vayne on that side. So by Trundle coming and placing the ward here, they want to force engagements where this Sona is, and they want to force engagements where their CV is. Those are the two areas they want. They have Pillar. Pillar will block this entire area off. This is what their strategy revolves around. Cicero will come in. His Q at this point, he's been playing very, very long-term focus. You can even see he's gone Aegis Philostone. He is geared for the long game. His job is to press Q and to slow a target. It's his job. So Nasus doesn't need items to make his Q strong. He needs farm and sustain to get his Q strong. So he can afford to go items like this. He's getting team-focused items that help his team out. Let's see what other team items we have here. Let me get this. Let me let my mouse sit still so this video bar goes down. Zilian, Rod of Ages, long-term focused item. Ezreal, going for that fast Trinity Force. This is a really expensive item, and as Ezreal, you can kind of afford to do it because you're hitting a Sheen timing, you're hitting a Phage timing. There's really small items that help you hit timings, and you saw aggression come out from him. They made a lane switch when he got his Sheen up. That Sheen gave him the ability to push the Galio around, and it allowed them to justify going for that dragon. Things like that. Phage hitting that timing now. He went back and bought his Phage just now. The Phage will give him sustain in this fight. It'll also let him slow, be more helpful to his team, and once again geared toward that long-term item. But he's getting them in a specific order, and they're getting him in that order for a reason. Janna, standard build. He's going, okay, see how he goes for Heart of Gold? Normally, what you want to do is skip this Heart of Gold, and you'd want to get something like the Aegis or a Shirelius, because getting the Heart of Gold slows your item down for the late game. But what he's doing here is he's saying, hey, This team wants to do a lot of burst damage. They're going for that just massive ulti damage. Their whole team comp is based on ultis. So he's saying, I need to stay alive with HP. HP makes me stay alive here. They all have one spell that does a bunch of damage each. And if you only take 4 spells, well then magic res and armor's not going to help you. Going up against a team that has a whole bunch of DPS, that's just like a whole bunch of little small spells consecutively or melee attacks over time, you're going to want armor and magic res because that will mitigate more damage than HP. But this Heart of Gold is saying, hey, we're in this for the long term. We don't need items to win team fights because our strategy revolves around fighting two or three people at once most. So you don't actually need the big, huge damage items, the big defensive items. You just need items that will get you enough at that point to get to the long game, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking long term here. Let me let this bar go down. We're gonna see some contrast on the other side. Morgana, Doran's Ring, and then her whatever the fuck that's called, Catalyst. Buying Doran's items means you want to fight now. You're going for a bunch of mid-game damage. You're not playing long-term. You're playing for the immediate now. You want to be really aggressive when you're buying Doran's items, like I said earlier. Doran's items are cheap. They're really good, but they take up a lot of inventory space, and they don't progress to anything. So when you're buying a Doran's item, you need to be damn sure that you're doing something with it. If you buy 3 Doran's blades like Vayne did, and then you just go back to lane and farm, well, you're not fucking doing anything because you're not building toward the late game. So if you see people go for that 3 Doran's build, they want to do a big, huge like level, like what they are now. When you're going for that first dragon kill, or second dragon kill at this point, and you want to be doing as much damage as you possibly can with your money. So if you're going for a really long-term item, like if he had a BF sword there instead of all these Doran's blades, then that might have been more favorable, but he can't afford it. So he spammed Doran's blades so that they could do this fight now because he knows that they're behind. So he has to dump his money into something. And getting those 3 Doran's blades and those 3 Doran's rings, those are the best ways to get back into the game because you can pick up kills by dumping your money into the items. So he's probably really broke right now. If they were pull up the gold, Vayne would probably have like 200 gold. Same with Morgana. Morgana put all her money into those Doran's rings. They're saying, we need to do something now. Spend your money, get your items going. We have to do this or we're going to fall behind. But the downside is that's not very long-term focus. So if you don't do something here with those items, well, then you're stuck with a whole bunch of tier 1 items that don't progress into anything, and it's not advantageous for you to sell them. And they take up a ton of inventory room, as you can see. It takes up half your inventory to do that. So that's basically how this is going to go as far as items. Now, we're going to hit play. We see the pillar came out on top of all of them there. That's really good. It splits the whole team off. Nasus put his little aura in the middle there. So to get here, they basically cut them off with a pillar here so that they couldn't connect with their team here. So all of this damage went out. Let's go back just a little bit. So the pillar goes down there. This forces them back. Because if they go here, they're really, really slow going through that corner. I don't even know if I like this pillar by Jad. But what they're going to want to do is throw this pillar here in between. They want it to be in between these 3 heroes and the 2 that are stuck on this side of the river that they see with their CV. That's what they want to do. They want to separate the heroes, make them split. So we have on this side, you'll see Janna coming in from this side. Janna kind of gets to the fight late, and so does Ezreal. That's the only flaw they had here because they both went back to buy and they weren't adhering to that strict dragon timer. Dragon comes up every 6 minutes on the dot, not a second sooner, later. It's a solid mechanic. It's something that will always happen. It's not a variable. It is just a defined value. You have to stick to that value. So they knew if they had been timing, they would have known exactly how much time they had to go back and buy. So they needed to go back and buy earlier. You have to set, like if you're trying to kill a creep wave and you're 10 seconds slow, that's not acceptable. You have to give up that creep wave and go buy. Maybe go buy, throw out your ultimate, and then head. And if you really want the money, but I don't like how they went back and bought there. So they will be a little bit out of position for this, and it could have gone better. So that's always something you need to do, is just look at team fights, big team fights like this that happen. Even if you win them and stuff looks like it goes right, you need to ask, well, how could it have gone better? That's one thing they could have improved on, was having Janna and Ezreal buy at better times. So the pillar goes down, and these heroes are isolated. They're two tanky heroes, Morgana, Galio. They're pretty tanky. They're pretty tanky casters. They do get caught out, and you're gonna see them go immediately onto them. So now look at the heroes here. It's 3 heroes on 4 heroes right here. Dignitas only has 3 heroes committed to this. They have their Janna, they have Jat on the Trundle, and they have a Cicero on Nasus. These 2 heroes will sustain forever. They can just sit here and tank all this damage. Look at their support. Look at Liquid. He had to use his ultimate on the 2 tanky heroes and the support. The 2 tanky heroes and the support. These heroes aren't here to do damage. Nasus is here to... He's not the killing blow. Ezreal over here is the killing blow. Over here is Ezreal and the Zilian. Well, Zilian actually ultied right here. Okay, so it is 4-on-4. I knew something was wrong. Okay, so Ezreal and Vayne are kind of over here just duking it out. Well, Ezreal can just kind of bounce around in bushes. And Vayne can't really stop Ezreal, and Ezreal can't really stop Vayne. But that's not what Curse wants. Curse, like I said earlier, they're all about their disable. Look, Galio, Morgana ult. They're focusing on these little champions here, but those ults don't do damage. What does damage is this Vayne. And this Vayne got caught over here. Remember. So Vayne was stuck over here in no man's land. Now, Cutie Pie is just going to sit over here, and his job is going to be to keep Vayne off of his team. Because once all these ultimates are burned, Curse doesn't have anything. Curse is all about the ultimates. Once Warwick's ulti's down, once Morgana's is down, once Galio's is down, Sona already burned hers. They're probably just like getting all wet in their chairs right now because they just chained together all 4 of their ults, but they're not doing any damage. And you're going to see that they don't do any damage. Because these 4 heroes, they don't fucking matter. Killing a Zilian is not important. He's good fucking ulti. So they burn all these ultimates, and they don't have their damage dealer. What they need is they needed their Vayne on this side of the river, so that Vayne could come in, and while all these disables were going off, he could just be spamming down a target. He could be putting damage onto Jat. He could be putting damage then onto Locust, and then eventually going to like Nasus. But Ezreal's doing an amazing job. They told Cutie Pie, hey, just occupy him, keep him over there. He's their damage dealer. He's who we're worried about. So they're going to go play footsies over there. And you're going to see him going on to Ezreal. They're like, oh, got to kill the ranged AD. So after all those ultimates go down, Jat's not dead. Locust isn't dead. Scarra came back up. And now the Cicero has like almost full HP. Even though Jat's kind of low, like I said, he's a sustain hero. He's got that heal. He can sustain. He wants the long, prolonged fights. Scarra, he's there for the long, sustained fight. His ultimate brings him back. It's okay. He can survive. They're meant to deal with all this burst. Cutie Pie, like I said, can just bounce around over here. Look, Doublelift has been trying to kill Cutie Pie this whole time. Now that all these ultimates are blown, you're going to watch them jump onto Doublelift. You've already seen him take a ton of burst damage now because they're sustained tanky heroes. Their Zilian, their Nasus, and their Trundle went over here and let all these guys burn their ultimates. So after the ultimate wore off, then they just kind of threw some AoE damage out with some bombs. Sidco got hit by a bomb. He got low, so they're running Ignite, so they just throw Ignite on him. Now he can't heal up. So the shield from his magic damage doesn't really keep him in the fight because his sustain comes off of taking that magic damage, kind of like Morgana. So once they get Ignites on him, then their heal and sustain is taken away. So he has to run out of the fight. He's got no mana, so he's not useful at all. Now you see, look, Dignitas are like, okay, all your ultimates are blown. They all blink over, and you see all 5 of them, all 5 of Dignitas rotate onto Doublelift. So they're like, okay, Now they don't have anything going for them. So you see, look, these 3 heroes again caught over here, and then you see 2 get caught over here. Their whole team comp is based around just picking people out and isolating people, and they're all sustain champions. Look, Locust has a heal with his ultimate. He just pushes this team over, just pushes them out of the way, and throws up shield, and he's gonna be okay. Cicero has his Q, he has his ultimate, he's fine. Jat, he's got his Q, he's fine, he can sustain. He's got his wriggles, they're good, they can just sit here and sustain. Double lift just gets destroyed. So he goes down. The ulti pushes everybody out. Look, that's the beauty of Janna. Look, they're like exhausting him and stuff. He doesn't do damage. Why are you exhausting him? It's a waste of an exhaust cooldown. So the ulti pushes everybody out of the way, and they create the fight for themselves. So Jat's low HP, and they have the Vayne separated. They have the Vayne, and they all rotated onto him successfully. So Locust is like, okay, here we go. So he pushed the whole team out of the way, and it turned into 5-on-2. So they destroyed the Vayne, and now they're going after the Warwick, and Jat is like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm ignited, and my shield's about to wear off, and I need to get out. So Jat is going to go flash over the wall. He's fine. Locust is going to throw out his tornado. Like I said, you can't pursue a team that has a Janna. It's not physically possible. So Slow goes out. They're just saying, okay, we're done. Okay, get out. Everybody back. So you see there, they traded 2 heroes for no heroes. And now the pillar, once again, they want to engage on these choke points, and they see an opportunity. They see somebody approaching a choke, you throw down a pillar, and suddenly it's just 5v1, and they're caught, and that's the end of that. So they get dragon now again. So the advantage with Dignitas is really in their favor. We've seen so many times this game where they take their advantage and they use it, and they keep it, and they don't let it slip. They keep the pressure on. That's very important. And that team fight that I just broke down there, you need to be doing that with your team fights. If you're a team of 5, and even if you win that team fight, like I even gave Dignitas some pointers there. You know, work on your buying times, because you guys might not have had the best engage, and that could have gone a little smoother. Even though your team fight mechanic was brilliant and you guys played your strategy amazing, when I saw it, my mouth like hit the freaking desk. It was just so well executed. So now Curse is they're in a pickle. They need to be really worried about this game. They have like Double Lift is just now getting his BF sword, and we're at 17 minutes. That's something you have at like 12 minutes. So he is 5 minutes behind. That is a big problem. They have a whole bunch of tier 1 items. Look, Galio he doesn't even have his catalyst finished, so he just has 2 random crystals, 2 armors, and his only completed items is boots, really. The chalice, not so much of a tier, it's sort of a tier 2 item. But they're very low tier right now, so they've been pumping all their money into low tier items that don't really scale into the late game. Dignitas, on the other hand, they've bought all Aura items, all GP10 items. Zilian's even buying AP now. If you see a Zilian buying AP, then you're really behind. I don't like buying AP on Zilian. I don't think he should be as much of a money hog as he is in the North American scene. As you can see, he's the most farmed person on the map. He's got 145. There's 3 other heroes that are close to him on Curse. Curse has a really good farm mechanic. I'll give him that. They have really good farm compared to Dignitas, but Dignitas's team fights and their strategy and their positioning is just amazing. So Nasus can just kind of bully these guys around. They don't do enough damage. Cicero's Q is so farmed right now, and he's even got an amplifying tome to add some damage. Like he's really big right now. He can just bully them around. Jat even coming up there, they don't want Double Lift in the game. Double Lift is their damage. The AoE ultimates do not do damage anymore. They are ahead now, and they have all defensive items. And the defensive items help them negate all that ulti damage. So they're focusing. You see, they have 3 heroes up top. They want Double Lift to be pressured, and they don't want him farming. Like, they want to make sure he has hell to get back into the game. They're taking his tower. They don't want him to be safe at all. They want him back in the base, not farming. That's their main worry right now. Look, even throwing out really aggressive pillars, not even doing anything with it. He's just throwing out pillar just to be in his face. They're using their advantage aggressively. They're denying the other team from having any chance of getting back in it. You see Zilian just holding middle, farming, still farming, whatever. Yeah, boy. So, Curse, look, they have 2 wards on the map. So do Dignitas. Dignitas, they haven't gone back yet, so I'll give them that. Now, you see Dignitas go back. 3 people have wards. You have Janna, the jungler, buying wards. You have Nasus buying, looks like 3 wards. I can't tell at this font, but it looks like he has a good stack of wards on him. You'll probably even see Zilian buy wards when he goes back. That's something that Dignitas does a lot. They just have, instead of having one person buy 5 wards, they'll have 5 people buy 1 ward so that they can spread out their gold more evenly. So if like they kill a tower, everybody buys 2 wards. So you take map vision with the tower, well, why not invest that money to spread your map vision? If your item timings line up well enough already, why be greedy and buy more items when you can take an advantage and make it even bigger? That's something that Dignitas really showcases. Now we have Vayne even wandering around in his own jungle because he can't farm anymore. They went and they pushed really aggressively. They took his tower, got in his face. They don't want him in the game at all. Bottom lane, this is just them. They're switching to bottom lane because they want to push that tower now and take away that lane so that Vayne can't farm down there either. Now Curse did get, they grew some balls and went and put some wards down on the bottom. That kind of risky, but when you have CV up, you can do that. If the other team has Oracle, though, they're going to be gone pretty fast. So if you can't maintain your presence on the map, then the wards, they're good, but they're not going to be there for long. So at some point, it will turn into a waste of money. But I don't think Dignitas are keen to these wards yet. Don't think it's too much of a problem for them, though. They have such a big presence in the river. They just have Nasus and Jat walking around in the river, so they will see it. And Curse can't really keep them from walking around in the river, so they're probably just saying, well, I don't fucking care if you have wards. What are you going to do about it? So Dragon should be coming up soon again, and that's probably why that Curse is... They're investing in a pink ward now. They still can't afford oracles. They've been so far behind that if they buy oracles, then that's game over. They're not fighting over vision at this point. They're fighting over being able to get access to money. Normally you don't buy oracles unless you're either even or you're ahead. Because if you're even, then the oracles can be used to give you an edge somewhere. It can give you an edge in the vision ward. That's something that you can use. But when you're behind vision, I don't know. Kind of indifferent about it. Okay, so here we go. Big, okay. All the ultis went out. Let's look at the positioning. Pillar splits the team in half. We have double lift and Lapaka on this side, and we have the 3 AoE champs on this side again. Now, all the AoE ultis got burned, right? Okay. Okay. So here we go. Now, Locust. We had Ezreal flash over the wall down here. You see that? So he was isolated. So he's like, well, I'm fucking Ezreal. Guess what? We made this team comp to where I can flash over and reposition myself because our team comp's about repositioning. So now it's a pillar here separating Lapaka and Double Lift by themselves. Double Lift is shielded by Morgana, whatever. Who the fuck cares? But the most important thing is that Double Lift is stuck. The pillar cut them in half and put Double Lift on one side and the rest of the team on the other. So the only tank they have here is Warwick. And they're not really worried about Warwick at this point in the game because Warwick's so far behind. But most importantly, they pillared Double Lift by himself. And then, once again, they burn all their AoE ultimates. They're all down, so there's no more crowd control. All they had to do was live through it, sustain through it. Now, ulti goes out, pushes the team away, and watch them all rotate onto Double Lift. Where's Double Lift? They find him. Ezreal clicks on him. They're going to kill Lapaka here just because Lapaka's weak, but you see the whole team. See, Watch. The whole team is going to rotate over to those damage dealers. Okay. Oh, I went ahead. No, you didn't see that. So Janna ult goes out, and then they all rotate down into the pit. They all rotate down into the pit. So all the champs got pushed up here, and then they rotated down into the pit. Now Lapaka and Doublelift are pinned. They're not getting out. And their team is on the other side of this wall of Dignitas players. So they can't get to Doublelift to help them out. Dignitas here, their whole goal is to create a team fight. They want to position the heroes. The pillar, the Janna ultimate. Pillar, Janna ultimate. Janna ultimate also heals the whole team up, along with the fact that they all sustain. You'll see that. And then Cutie Pie, look, he's just in the middle of his whole team, just sitting there turreting. Now he can chase. Just, oh, let me go chase. All right. Get a kill. Ooh, a kill. Okay. Chase, chase, chase. You can't. Janna's so good at late game. It's not even funny. Kill Morgana. Chase, 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 chase. Oh, I'm a full HP. Ezreal. Chase, chase, chase. Double lift. Good decision by Doublelift. He fucking needs the money. Go farm. He stayed a little too long. He overstayed his welcome just a little bit, but that was the best thing Doublelift could have done. He's probably a little bit frustrated at this point. They're so far behind, and he hasn't been able to get into the game, get involved. Dignitas has been pressuring him so much. He's probably just a little bit frustrated at that point. But going to farm after that, while his team was getting chased, that was probably the best thing he could have done. I would have liked to see him pick up a few kills, then go back up into his jungle or something, but oh well. So now Dignitas, they put the ward way up by blue. It's the only ward they have. They haven't gone back to buy. But with this much of a lead, I'm expecting to see with both. They went, remember, when they got that second dragon, they knew they had the advantage. They got their items. They pushed the lane that Vayne was currently farming. The ranged AD took out his tower. They didn't even really go for him, but they just started throwing stuff in his face, saying, hey, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Go away. You're not getting this money. And then they just wandered through the river, kind of showed up mid, and then they went and killed the bottom tower. And that's what they used the dragon to do. They took away all the vision. Look, now CRS can't even approach the river. They have the forward ward here. They have the tri-bush warded. They have the blue warded. There's even a ward down here. I don't even know where that is. I guess it's kind of near like the bottom river entrance. Anyway, their wards are now on their side of the river, poking pretty far up. I'd even like to see their red get warded, like where Curse has their own red warded. That'd be a good place to ward as well, catch people out. But you'll see the item builds coming out now. Now Janna has that Shirelia's that I was talking about. Oh, we got Doublelift going for that tower. He needs money so bad that he's having to just try anything he can to get money for his team to get back into the game. Because like I said, when you die as a ranged AD, that's not a big deal, because as long as you're farming and getting money, that's your job, is to farm and get money and get items and get built. Because you can, once ranged AD gets their items, then they're gonna deal damage. It's just a matter of when. Okay, so here we go. This fight, you see Curse is just, they're getting sloppy now. Dignitas isn't even having to really try that hard. You see the non-coordination. They just kind of see Baron, and there was probably pings going out. Well, guys, we'll get Baron. Oh my god. So at this point in the game, you're not going to be taking much from it. This point is where things kind of just fall apart for the other team, and you're not going to get much learning out of it unless you look at Dignitas and you copy how they keep their advantage. But Curse, at this point, after watching that little small engagement there, I can say that they are probably mentally checked out of this game. You saw Sitco just kind of run in and yeah, and then Sona ultimate, and they don't even, like, the pillar catches one person and then throws that whatever ultimate, whatever. They just kind of get a free kill, and then now they have Baron. And why Jackie's going to be trying to be cute, but Dignitas doing a good job of standing on. That's just something small, something really small I wanted to point out. Watch. Let's watch this. It's brilliant. Small and obvious. Just obvious stuff. You gotta look for the obvious stuff. Sometimes it's just like right in front of your face. Watch this. Look, Cicero and Jat. They're the two tanky heroes, right? The tanky heroes that can take all the damage. What? They just moved to this side of Baron. Might seem insignificant, but look. Oh, Morgana Q. Oh, well, guess what? You're not going to poke him down. We don't want you to steal him, so we're going to throw some heroes with HP on this side of Baron. Because that's what the map dictates that we should do. Because the map is everything. The map is everything. Okay, when I played SC2, there were so many maps, and the first thing I would do when the new ladder maps came out, I would just sit there and spend half the day just looking at the map. That's all I would do. Just look at the map. Go start up a random game, like get buildings, figure out how many buildings were needed to like wall areas off, how to forge expand on the map or something as Protoss. If you play SC2, you know what that means. If not, then just hear me out. But the map, I would spend so much time just figuring out the map, like figuring out how long it took to just walk from the front of my base to each one of the bases, just how long it took to walk there with like a probe. Like, that's really important. That's something I need to know. How long it takes for like a group of stalkers to like walk from this base to that base. How long it takes like a void ray to get from, like, if I put my Stargate here, how long will it take to get to that Zerg's third hatchery? I need to know that because that's important. It also maybe will depend, it might determine where I put my Stargate. Just stuff like that. Just got to know the map, got to know your timings, got to know all the little favorable positions for you on the map. Like, there's only one League of Legends map. Why not master it? You just need to spend time looking at the map, just walking around, seeing how long it takes to get places, just little timings like that. You should really, if you want to get better, just start taking note of the small stuff. The small stuff helps so much. So they stand on this side of Baron, and now they can't get Baron poked. Just something small. Look, they have a wall of people. So Janna uses her ultimate just to heal everybody up. That was just kind of a whatever. They don't care at this point, I don't think. They probably just like, no, let's just go back and buy. So now Curse is reduced to farming their jungle and hugging mid. So they can farm, like Vayne will get this last wave of farm, and then that's going to be it for him for a while. I don't think he can safely farm anything else. Now wards, they went out at Baron, so they have total vision of that part of the map. Nothing's getting by there. They'll probably buy wards again. Let's see. Jat bought wards. Nasus has wards. Janna didn't buy wards. You bitch. Oh, she didn't go back yet, I don't think. Yeah, she did. What a cheap ass. Anyway. Ezreal has freaking Bloodthirster now. That's another really long-term focused item. You can build that item up and it'll keep scaling. So not only does it offer sustain, but your farming also gives you more damage and sustain. So getting a fast Bloodthirster, I actually really have come to like that a lot on ADs. Kind of sucks when you get ganked because then you fall more behind than you would normally expect. See, Doublelift tried to get greedy. I told you, he had one more wave of farm. He tried to get that second wave. Now he's going to get caught. So he's kind of in no man's land. Can't do anything to help his team. So they can just get poked down so heavily now. Even Skara's bomb is still doing damage. If Zilian's bomb is still doing damage at the 27.5-minute mark, then you're in trouble. So they have Baron. They have all tier 1 towers down. Curse only has one bottom tower. That's it. That's all they have. Pillar, once again, able to pick people off. Janna, what are you doing? You crazy motherfucker. Okay, so I think this is where they just push and win. Once again, Pillar, just picking people out. Locust, you are one crazy dude. Burning Flash, oh my. Calm down, son. I know you're happy, but geez. Calm down. And that's when the game ends. But I really like looking at one-sided games like this because it shows you, it really highlights why a strategy works and all of the thinking that goes into the game. You get to see those really well-executed team fights, and you get to see how teams go about keeping their advantage and why they're keeping their advantage. One-sided wins means that something was wrong with the other team's strategy, whether it was how they executed it, the strategy itself, their understanding of their opponent's strategy. There's always something really important to be learned on one-sided games like that. Some people might just look at them and go, "Oh, well, we didn't just stomp them," and then the Curse fans will be like, "No, we just played bad and it just got behind, and then one thing after another." Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But if you want to look at it to learn, that was a really good game to learn from. It's just really neat to break things down like that and just kind of look and see what the teams do. Anyways, I had fun. Yeah, I might do one of these every week. So when I post this, feel free to, send me a message of like a game that you might want to see. Like if you notice a tournament game that was really interesting, like maybe I'll do one on let's see. I know after Guangzhou, people were getting kind of excited about seeing Twisted Fate from the Chinese teams. I might do one of those next week just to see how they incorporate Twisted Fate into their play. He's kind of making a comeback, even though he's been hit with Nerf Stick ever since the beginning of time. Even Aurelia's like, "Ooh, damn, you've been nerfed." So maybe I'll see if I can do one of those games. I might even do one tonight. I don't know. This was fun, though. So give me some feedback. I'd like to hear your comments. I'll try and do this as much as I can. So thank you for watching, and